Okay, hello everybody. So the last time we got together, we learned a sugya on Daf Chof Amid Aleph in Bava Kama, 15 lines down, beginning with Bava Zera. I told you that I would make another video going through the Rashis, and I want to do that right now. But before we begin the Rashi, let's just quickly reacquaint ourselves with the Gemara. The Gemara said Bava Zera. There's one point that I want to make very carefully before we even begin, and that is the Gemara says Bava Reb Zera. Bava Reb Zera means Reb Zera came and Reb Zera asked a shaila. Now, many of you are familiar with the concept of asking a shaila. What does it mean to ask a shaila? It means I have a shaila lahalacha. I don't know what the halacha is. It's Rosh Chodesh. I just davened Shachris. I forgot to say Yalav Yavai. So I go over to my Rebbe and I ask my Rebbe a shaila. Rebbe, I have a shaila lahalacha. It's Rosh Chodesh. I forgot to say Yalav Yavai. Do I say Shmona Esrei over again? That's a shaila. The point that I'm making is that there's a difference between a shaila and a kasha. The case I just gave you is a shaila. That's a shaila. I have a shaila lahalacha. Then there's something called a kasha. What's a kasha? You're sitting in class. You're sitting in chair. Your Rebbe says a Gemara. You don't understand the Gemara. Or you think that there's a stira. You say to yourself, wait a second. We just learned the Gemara that says like this. But last week, we learned the Gemara that said the opposite. Rebbe, I have a kasha. I don't have a shaila lahalacha. I have a kasha. What's a kasha? The word kasha comes from hard or difficult. That's, Rebbe, I have a difficulty. There's something that I don't understand. We seem to have learned two Gemaras that are seisir each other. They contradict each other. So I'm asking you a kasha. When the Gemara says boi Reb Zera, that's usually a halacha shaila. So Reb Zera came and Reb Zera asked a shaila, boi Reb Zera. What was Reb Zera's shaila? So in the Gemara, in the words of Reb Zera's entire shaila was two words. Boi Reb Zera asked, Misgalgal mahu. If it's rolling, what's the din? What's rolling? Marbles? It doesn't say anything, right? Misgalgal, it's rolling, mahu, what's the din? So the Gemara comes along right away to clarify what Reb Zera's shaila was. And the Gemara says, hey Chidami, what's the case? And the Gemara clarifies it to a certain extent. The Gemara takes it to a certain level. What does the Gemara say? Kegoyin, for example, Dekaima Amir B'Rishus HaYachid, that there is straw, which is an animal food, laying in Rishus HaYachid, V'kam is galgal va'asi, and it is rolling and coming. V'kam is galgal, and it is rolling, va'asi, and coming, B'Rishus HaYachid, from Rishus HaYachid, L'Rishus HaRabim, to Rishus HaRabim, Frek the Gemara, Mai. Reb Zera's shaila was, what's the din? Okay, how much did the Gemara really clarify what Reb Zera's shaila was? Not much. If not that you already learned this Gemara either from me or from your Rebbe in class, you still don't know what's going on over here. We have Reb Zera who said, it's rolling, what's the din? That told me nothing. The Gemara expands on it. The Gemara says, well, there was straw. Straw was laying in Rishus HaYachid, and now it's rolling from Rishus HaYachid to the Rishus HaRabim. Mari, what's the din? What's the din about what? Is this a Baba Mitzia shaila? Is it a shaila if I'm allowed to take the straw and keep it? Is it a shaila whether I have to do Hashavas Aveda? Is it a shaila of that now the straw is a bar in Rishus HaRabim and I'm allowed to take it and I'm allowed to throw it out? What's the shaila over here? What's the case? What's going on? The Gemara does not say that. Now, another thing that the Gemara doesn't say is the Gemara doesn't say what made the food roll from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. All the Gemara says is that there was food in Rishus HaYachid, and it was rolling from Rishus HaYachid out to the Rishus HaRabim. The Gemara doesn't say what made it roll. Was it going downhill? Is it gravity? What made it roll? The Gemara doesn't say. So here is a typical case where we have a Gemara that at face value we might do a very good job of teaching the words, which is always step number one. You have to be able to teach the words. We might do a very good job of figuring out in the Gemara where the phrases begin and where the phrases end, which is also critical. We have to be able to set up the Gemara right, know where do the phrases start and end, what's a kasha, what's a teretz, what's a havim, But there's a lot of information that's missing here. So what do we do when we learn Gemara and there's missing information? we go to Rashi. That's what we do. So let's take a look at Rashi. So the first Rashi on this sugya is on the second line. Rashi says, Kigoin de kaima amir b'rishus hanizik. These were the words that the Gemara started to use to clarify Reb Zera's shaila. And the Gemara said, what was the case when Reb Zera says, Mizgalgal, it was rolling, Ma'u, what's the din? What's he talking about? Kigoin de kaima amir b'rishus hanizik. He's talking about straw that started out in the Rishus HaNizik. It was in the Rishus HaNizik. And then the Gemara said, V'kamis galgal vasi, it is rolling and coming from the Rishus HaYachid to the Rishus HaRam. But what happened? So Rashi says, U behema b'Rishus HaRabim. Yeah, there's an animal with a big open mouth. There's an animal in the Rishus HaRabim. Okay. Umegalgeles va'asi, and the food is rolling and coming me Rishus HaYachid, from the Rishus HaYachid, li Rishus HaRabim, to the Rishus HaRabim. So now Rashi has filled in some details over here. Now we understand more what Reb Zera's shaila was. Reb Zera's shaila was, there was food in the Rishus HaYachid. We know that Shein in Rishus HaYachid is Potter. Now, there's an animal in the Rishus HaRabim. We know Shein in Rishus HaRabim is Potter, right? So we have food in Rishus HaNizik. We have animal in Rishus HaRabim. We have food rolling from the Rishus HaYachid out to the Rishus HaRabim, to where the animal is with a big hungry open mouth. And the animal eats the food in the Rishus HaRabim. Now we want to know, what's the halacha? That's Reb Zera's shaila. What's the halacha? But there's a couple of things that we still don't know. One thing we don't know is, okay, Reb Zera had a shaila in this case. It's a cute shaila. But we don't know yet what really was Reb Zera's shaila. If Reb Zera had a shaila, right? This is not an 8th grader coming to his Rebbe, do I say Yalav Yalav over again or not? This is Reb Zera. This is the Amora Reb Zera. Reb Zera had a shaila. That means that Reb Zera analyzed the case. He looked at the case, and he has 2 ways to think about it. But what are those 2 ways to think about it? The Gemara didn't say. So Rashi is now going to tell us what was really behind Reb Zera's shaila. Why did Reb Zera really have a shaila? What were his 2 ways of thinking about this case? Certainly, he thought about it, he analyzed it, and he had 2 different ways to think. We have to know what are those 2 different ways to think. That's one thing Rashi is going to do. But then I'm going to show you, we still don't know what made the food roll from Rishus HaNizik to Rishus HaRabim. We still don't have an answer to that. The Gemara didn't say, and Rashi so far didn't say either. So I'm going to show you the one word in Rashi. There's only one word in Rashi where you pick up that, according to Rashi at least, what was happening was the animal rolled the food from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. It didn't just roll by itself. The animal pulled it from the Rishus HaNizik out to the Rishus HaRabim. One word in Rashi. And if you're not careful, and you read the Rashi quickly, and you're not medayik in Rashi, if you don't pay attention to every single word of Rashi, there's so much that you miss, because that's all it is. It's only one word. And that's something that you really have to know when you learn Rashi. You always have to remember, Rashi was the master wordsmith of Torah. A wordsmith is somebody who works with words. A blacksmith is somebody who works with steel, works with metals. A wordsmith crafts words. Rashi never used a word by mistake. Every word Rashi chose was very meduyik and very careful. So let's take a look here at the next Rashi. Rashi says, Reb Zera wanted to know what's the halacha. Says Rashi first, I'll tell you what was behind Reb Zera's shaila. Reb Zera's shaila was, Basar achila azlinan. The word azlinan means we go. Azal. The shirish is azla or azal, means to go. The suffix of nun, azlinan, means we go. Basar means after. So Rashi says like this. You want to know what Reb Zera's shaila was? Reb Zera's shaila was, Basar achila azlinan. Do we go after achila? What's achila? Eating. Basar achila azlinan. Do we go after where the animal ate the food? Upatura. And then in our case, the owner of the animal is going to be patur. Because where did the animal eat the food? The animal ate the food in Rishus Harabim. Shein in Rishus Harabim, potter. So if we go after where the animal ate, if that's the determining factor, we need to know. You come to Bezdin with this shaila, chayiv or potter. What Bezdin has to know is this shein in Rishus HaNizik, or is it shein in Rishus Harabim? So how do we determine that? So if basar achila azlinan, that means we determine it by looking where did the animal do the damage. Where was the animal standing when he ate the food? In our case, he was standing in Rishus Harabim. So if we say basar achila azlinan, the owner is potter. But there's another way to look at it, says Rashi. Or perhaps, basar dishaklale azlinan. Maybe we go after where the animal took the food. In that case, the chayeves. In that case, in the case that we're dealing with, the owner will be chayev. Because where did the animal take the food from? The animal took the food from Rishus HaNizik. The food started out in Rishus HaNizik. The animal pulled it from Rishus HaNizik out to the Rishus Harabim. So maybe we go after where he took it from. The owner of the food says, hey, wait a second. That barley, it was laying in my backyard. The animal came, he took it out of my backyard. That's shein in Rishus HaNizik. He's chayiv. This was Reb Zerah's shaila. Reb Zerah's shaila was very basic. I have to know, I know that shein in Rishus HaNizik is chayiv, and shein in Rishus Harabim is potter. But I have to know, how do we decide if it's called shein in Rishus HaNizik or it's called shein in Rishus Harabim? Do we go basar achila? Do we go after where the animal ate the food? Or do we go basar dishaklale? Or do we go after where the animal took the food? So Rashi has told us now what Reb Zerah's shaila was. Now Rashi wants to fill in another blank. If you notice, the Gemara only discussed the shaila in one case. The Gemara only discussed the shaila in the case of Kegoy de Kaima Amir b'Rishus HaYachid, that the food started in the Rishus HaYachid, in the Rishus HaNizik, and the animal pulled it out to the Rishus Harabim. How about the other case? How about if the food started in Rishus Harabim, the animal was in Rishus HaNizik, and the animal pulled the food into the Rishus HaNizik? Do we have the same shaila in that case? The Gemara didn't say so. The Gemara only chose one case. The Gemara didn't do both. So Rashi just makes a point, and Rashi says, V'hu hadin nami. The same din, the same halacha would apply, meaning we have the same shaila, basar achila azlinan or basar dishaklale azlinan. If the animal was in Rishus HaNizik and ate the food in Rishus HaNizik, the Amir b'Rishus Harabim, and the food started off in the Rishus Harabim, the Gilgalasai, and the animal rolled the food, me Rishus Harabim, from the Rishus Harabim, li Rishus HaYachid, into the Rishus HaYachid, we have the same shaila. Basar achila azlinan. Do we go after achila and therefore chayeves, because the animal ate the food now in Rishus HaNizik? This is the flipped case. This is the case with the animals in Rishus HaNizik. So now the animal ate the food in Rishus HaNizik. If we say basar achila, he's chayev. Or the basar dishaklale azlinan. Or do we go after where the animal took the food from? And in this case, where did he take it from? He took it from Rishus Harabim. P'tura. In that case, it would be potter. Now, I promised you I would show you the one word in Rashi that told us how did the food roll from one Rishus to the other one. The Gemara never said. The Gemara only said misgalgal va'asi. It was rolling and coming. And in Rashi, Dibra Maschel, going to Kaima Amir b'Rishus HaNizik, in the first Rashi on the Sugya, Rashi also only says umegalgelis va'asi. It was rolling and coming. Doesn't say anywhere what made it roll. There's one word in the Rashi that we just did that told you the answer. And that word is Vegilgelasai. Rashi, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lines down into Rashi Dibra Maschel Mai. Rashi says Vegilgelasai, and the animal rolled it. Me Rishus Harabim, from the Rishus Harabim, li Rishus HaYachid. So if you didn't read that Rashi carefully, and you didn't pick up on the word Vegilgelasai, or you're not used to being careful to teaching the words of the Gemara and the words of Rashi carefully and accurately, you could have missed that. And somebody would come and ask you, Who says that the animal rolled the food? Maybe the food was just rolling downhill. You wouldn't have an answer. But now you have the answer. Rashi says, Vigilgil lasai, which means, and the animal rolled it. Okay, so now that we did these two Rashis, now we have a very clear understanding of what Reb Zerah's shaila was, what the case was, what the background of Reb Zerah's shaila is, how Reb Zerah analyzed the case, and what his shaila was. So before we go into the Gemara's attempt at answering the shaila, let's just recap. Let's follow the paper trail here. Let's make sure we understand clearly. Reb Zerah's shaila was, there's food in one rishus. The animal is in the other rishus. The animal goes ahead and pulls the food out from one rishus to the other rishus and eats the food. Now we want to know, how do we determine if this is shein in rishus harabim or shein in rishus hanizik? Do we go basar achila? Do we go after where the animal ate the food? If he ate the food in rishus hanizik, he's chayiv. Shein in rishus hanizik, chayiv. If he ate the food in rishus harabim, potter. Shein in rishus harabim is potter. I don't care where he got the food from. The animal's in rishus harabim. He's chowing down on barley in rishus harabim. He pulled the food out of the rishus hanizik. The Dayan says, don't tell me where he took the food from. Not Negeya. I don't care where he took the food from. He ate the food in rishus harabim, potter. He ate the food in rishus hanizik. Yeah, but Rabbi, he pulled the food out of. He pulled the food from rishus harabim. Shein in rishus harabim is potter. I don't care where he took the food from. He ate the food in rishus hanizik. That's shein in rishus hanizik. Chayiv. That's basar achila azlinan. That's we go after achila. Or Reb Zerah said, maybe basar de shaklala azlinan. Maybe we go after where the animal took the food from. So the owner of the food comes along, and the owner of the food says, that sack of barley was in my backyard. The animal took the food from my backyard, and he ate it in rishus harabim. The owner of the animal says, well, he ate it in rishus harabim. Shein in rishus harabim, potter. I mean, that's where he did the damage. Come on. It's shein in rishus harabim. Bezdin says, don't tell me where he did the damage. I don't care where he did the damage. Where was the food? He took the food, follow the food. He took the food from rishus hanizik, that shein in rishus hanizik is chayiv. The other case, he took the food from the rishus harabim. The owner of the food says, but he ate it in my backyard. It's shein in rishus hanizik, he should be chayiv. No, the Dayan says, I don't care where he ate it. I care where he took the food from. That's basar de shaklala azlina. So that's the Gemara shaila. Okay, so now we understand the Gemara shaila. What did the Gemara do then? Then the Gemara brought a tashma. And the Gemara brought really a brisa. Now, by the way, I just want to point out to you again. The Gemara's words are tashma, come in here. That means, come, listen, I'm gonna bring a raya. I'm gonna tell you a way to answer this shaila. Ditani Rebbe Chia. What do the words Ditani Rebbe Chia mean? The words Ditani Rebbe Chia mean Reb Chia taught a brisa. Reb Chia is not the mechaber of the brisa. Reb Chia is not the Tana. It's not necessarily Reb Chia's shita. It's not necessarily Reb Chia's opinion. Reb Chia taught a brisa. That means Reb Chia was aware of a brisa where a Tana said such a thing. So the Gemara brings a raya from a brisa that was taught by Reb Chia. Now really, this brisa seems to be a slam dunk to answer Reb Zerah's shaila. What did the brisa say? The brisa said there was a masui. A masui is a load. There was a masui. Where was the masui? The Gemara said the masui was miktsasi bifnim and miktsasi b'chutz. That's what the brisa says. We have a load. A load of what? A load of food. Rashi is going to say it means a load of barley. So imagine a sack of barley, a big 50-pound sack of barley. Okay, we have a sack of barley. It's partially where? It's partially bifnim. It's partially in rishus hanizik. Or miktsasi b'chutz. And it's partially outside. And now guess what happened? An animal came and an animal ate it. What did the animal eat? Well, the Gemara right now thinks the animal wiped out all the barley. So you had a 50-pound sack of barley. It's laying half in rishus hanizik. It's laying half in rishus harabim. Came along an animal. It's food day. He came along. He ate 50 pounds of barley. He ate the whole sack of barley. Now, the Brisa wants to teach the din, what's the halacha? What's the halacha? Is he chayiv or is he potter? So the Gemara, the Brisa says, achla bifnim. Now, I'm going to teach it what seems to be the simple way. Achla bifnim, if the animal ate it inside, what does inside mean? In the Rishos HaNizik. If the animal ate it in Rishos HaNizik, chayeves. The owner is chayev. Shein in Rishos HaNizik. Achla bachutz, if the animal ate the 50 pounds of barley, where? Bachutz, outside, in Rishos HaRabim. Ptura, potter. Gemara says, "My lav mizgalgal v'asi." Isn't this exactly the case that Reb Zera was talking about? What happened over here? What happened is very simple. You had a 50-pound sack of barley. It's laying partially in the Rishos HaNizik, partially outside in the Rishos HaRabim. There's an animal. Where's the animal? The animal's not partially inside, partially outside. The animal is staying on one side. Either the animal's in the Rishos HaNizik or the animal is in the Rishos HaRabim. What did the animal do? The animal ate a good lunch. The animal ate 50 pounds of barley. Says the Brisa, what's the halacha? Very simple. It depends where the animal's eating. Achel b'fnim, if the animal's eating in Rishos HaNizik, chayeves, he's chayev. If the animal is outside in the Rishos HaRabim, p'tura, he's potter. Slam dunk. This is exactly l'chayr Reb Zera Shaila, right? The food, if the animal was inside and the animal ate all 50 pounds of barley, that means he ate 50 pounds of barley that was in Rishos HaNizik, but he also ate 50 pounds of barley that was outside in Rishos HaRabim. And what's the halacha? The Brisa says, achla b'fnim, if he ate it inside, he's chayiv. So that means he's chayiv even for the 25 pounds of barley that was in Rishos HaRabim. Why? Because basar achila is lina. Because we go after where the animal is standing when the animal eats. Where's the animal standing? Inside. In the opposite case, if the animal was standing outside in the Rishos HaRabim, so achla, he ate all 50 pounds of barley. That means he ate 25 pounds of barley that was in Rishos HaRabim, but he also ate 25 pounds of barley that was in the Rishos HaNizik. What's the halacha? Achla b'chutz, he ate it outside p'tur, he's potter. Why? Why is he potter? He ate 25 pounds of barley that was in Rishos HaNizik. He's potter because basar achila is linan. Because you go after where he ate. Where did he eat? He ate Rishos HaRabim. Shein Rishos HaRabim is potter. So this brisa that Reb Chia taught seems to be a slam dunk. Slam dunk. Reb Zera wanted to know, do you go basar achila or do you go basar de shaklale? We have a brisa, it says you go basar achila, right? That's what the Gemara, that's how the Gemara wanted to bring a raya to be poshit Reb Zera's shaila. To be poshit a shaila means to answer the shaila. Now let's take a look at Rashi. So we have a Rashi Dibra Maschil Masui. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 lines down in the Rashi. Masui. There was a load. Again, there are blanks in the Gemara. The Gemara doesn't say what this load is. And that's going to end up being a critical question. Right? Because you know already, maybe, because we learned it last time, there's a Viba Yisema on this Gemara that says that the load was a different kind of load. So the Gemara, the Brisa, the Tashma, the Tani Reb Chia, when Reb Chia taught this Brisa, he didn't write on the board what this Masui is. So that's a blank. We don't know what the Masui is. So let's take a look at Rashi. Masui, there was a load. Kasalka Daitach. Right now the Gemara thinks, by the way, what do the words ka, salka, daitach mean? What do those words mean? Salka, salak, means to go. Daitach is your mind. Das, knowledge, thoughts, your mind. Ka, salka, daitach. Literally it means it would go on your mind. Which means this is what you would have thought. This is what the Gemara is thinking right now. We see this Tani Reb Chia. We see this Brisa that Reb Chia taught. He said, Masoy, a load. He didn't say what the load is. Kasalka daitach, what the Gemara thinks right now is, amtachas, and amtachas is a sack, malaya sa'irin, full of barley. And that's going to be very critical. What's barley? Barley is tiny little individual pieces of grain. So we have a 50-pound sack full of tiny little grains of barley. Va'achla bifnim. And what does the Brisa say? If the animal ate the food inside in Rishos HaNizik, chayeves, he's chayev, even for the 25 pounds of barley that was in the Rishos HaRabim. Why is he chayev? Because basar achila is lina. Because we go after where he ate the food. and he ate the food in Rishus HaNizik. Let's see the next Rashi. My love, is this not my love? Is this not the case of Reb Zera? My love, isn't this Kigoin, for example, she'achlosai kuloi. The animal ate all the food. It was a 50-pound sack, lying half in Rishus HaRabim and half in Rishus HaNizik. And the animal ate all of it. Pay attention, at this point in the Gemara, pay attention to the way the Gemara is understanding the Brisa. The Gemara said, Achla bifnim, says Rashi, the way the Gemara understands that is, Achla, if the animal ate what? The animal ate all the food, all 50 pounds. So Rashi says, Kigoin, for example, Shachlasai kulai. Achla, the animal ate all 50 pounds. The 25 pounds that are in Rishus HaNizik and the 25 pounds that are in Rishus HaRabim. Bava Kama. And this is what the Brisa tells you. Achlasai, if the animal ate all of the barley, the 25 pounds in Rishus HaNizik and the 25 pounds in Rishus HaRabim, what's the halacha? Continues Rashi. Bifnim, if the animal ate it inside in Rishus HaNizik. Kigoin, for example. Shel Gilgala es kulai bifnim. The animal rolled all of the food inside. Chayeves. The animal is chayev. So again, the animal is inside in the Rishus HaNizik. There's 25 pounds of barley that are with him in the Rishus HaNizik. But there's also 25 pounds of barley that are outside in the Rishus HaRabim. Says the Brisa, Achla, the animal ate all 50 pounds. The 25 pounds inside and the 25 pounds outside. Bifnim, if he ate them inside, the word bifnim is going on the animal. Achla, the animal ate all the barley. Bifnim, he ate it inside. The word bifnim goes on the location of the animal. The animal is inside. Achla bifnim, chayeves. The owner is chayev. Even for the 25 pounds that were in Rishus HaRabim. Gilgalase lechutz, but in the other case, if the animal is outside in the Rishus HaRabim, and the animal rolled all the food out to the Rishus HaRabim, so that means he ate the 25 pounds that were originally with him in the Rishus HaRabim, but he also ate the 25 pounds that were in Rishus HaNizik. He pulled it out to the Rishus HaRabim. P'tura, he's potter. Alma, we see, Pasar Achila Zlina. Again, slam dunk. This Brisa seems to be mamish a slam dunk to answer Reb Zera's Shiloh. This was Reb Zera's whole Shiloh. If the animal was in one Rishus, he took the food from the other Rishus. Do you go Pasar Achila? Do you go where he ate the food? Or do you go Pasar Deshaklale? This Brisa that Reb Chia taught and seems to answer the Shiloh. You had food, 25 pounds was inside, 25 pounds of outside. What do? You go after where the animal was. Achla, the animal ate all the food. Bifnim, if the animal is inside, in the Rishus HaNizik, chayiv. Shein in Rishus HaNizik. Bachutz, achla bachutz. Achla, the animal ate all the food. Where did he eat it? Bachutz, on the outside. The word bachutz goes on the animal. The animal's outside. Tur, the animal's potter. Why? Pasar Achila Zlina. So, this was the Gemara's attempt at answering Reb Zera's Shiloh from a Brisa that was taught by Reb Chia. Now, we're going to do just one more. Now, the Gemara is going to slug up this raya. The Gemara is going to say, no, you can't answer Reb Zera's Shiloh from this Brisa. Why not? The reason why is because the Gemara is going to say there's a different way that you could learn the Brisa. You don't have to learn the Brisa the way we just did. The way we just learned the Brisa, this argument is going to focus on 4 words. Achla bifnim and achla bachutz. The way we just understood the Brisa of Reb Chia was like this. Achla, the animal ate what? Kuloi. The animal ate all the food, said Rashi. There was a 50-pound sack. He ate all 50 pounds. The 25 pounds that were in Rishus HaNizik and the 25 pounds that were in Rishus HaRabim. Achla, the animal ate it all. What's the halacha? Depends where the animal is. Bifnim, if the animal is inside, chayiv. Because he ate it inside, Rishus HaNizik, basar achila linan. Achla, if the animal ate all the food, bachutz, the word bachutz goes on the animal was outside, ptura. The owner is potter. Why? Again, basar achila linan. We go where he ate it outside. Rishus HaRab is ptura. That's the way the Gemara understood it now. But now the Gemara is going to say you don't have to understand it that way. You could understand it a different way. You know how you could understand it? You could understand it that it goes like this. The Bryce is saying like this. Achla, if the animal ate the food, it depends, not where the animal was, it depends where the food was. Achla, if the animal ate the food, doesn't necessarily mean he ate all the food. Till now we understood achla means he ate all the food, all 50 pounds. The Gemara says, no, maybe not. Achla, he ate the food, depends what he ate. Bifnim, if he eats the 25 pounds that were located inside in the Rishus HaNizik, chayeves, then the owner is chayev, even if the animal was in Rishus HaRabim. So the animal was in Rishus HaRabim, he ate the 25 pounds of barley that were in the Rishus HaNizik, he's chayev. You know why? Because basar deshakla leyas linan. Because you go after where the animal took the food from, and he took it from the Rishus HaNizik. Achla bachutz, maybe what that means is, achla, if the animal ate some of the barley, depends what he ate. Bachutz, if he ate the barley that was located outside in the Rishus HaRabim, ptura, he's pater. You know why? Because basar deshakla leyas linan. Even if the animal was inside in the Rishus HaNizik, the owner is still pater. You know why? Because what did he eat? He ate food that he took from Rishus HaRabim. Basar deshakla leyas linan. Ptura. So the Gemara says, since there's another way to learn the brisa, you can't answer Reb Zera's shaila from this brisa. Because you don't know which way is right. There's two different ways to learn the brisa. Let's see it inside in Rashi. Rashi says, Ema, you could say, that means you could learn the brisa of Reb Chia a different way. Ema, you could say, Achla, if the animal ate some of the food, al masha b'chutz p'tura. If he ate the food that started off outside, pater. Explains Rashi, al masha haya munach mitchila b'chutz. When the brisa says achla b'chutz, it doesn't mean achla, he ate all the food b'chutz while he was outside. And now ptura because basar achila is lidan. No, that's not what it means. Instead, what it means is like this. Achla, he ate some of the food. Al masha yamunach b'tchila b'chutz. For whatever was outside, ptura. The owner is pater for eating that. Val hamunach b'tchila b'fnim. But food that he ate that originally was inside, chayev is chayev, the basar deshakla leyas linan. Because we go after where he took the food from, bein hi bifnim, whether it started inside, bein hi bachutz, whether it started outside. So you had the shaila of Reb Zera, you had the Gemara's attempt to answer the shaila from a brisa taught by Reb Chia, and you had the Gemara turn around and say, no, you cannot answer Reb Zera's shaila from this brisa that was taught by Reb Chia, because there's two different ways to learn the brisa. And one way seems to say basar achila is linan, the other way seems to say basar deshakla leyas linan, and therefore we have no proof. I'm going to stop over here. There's one more Rashi on the sugya, and that goes on the v'ibayis ema, but that Rashi is a complicated Rashi. And there's one phrase in that Rashi that's very tricky. So Mirz Hashem, we'll do that Rashi another time. I hope you found this useful. Be well.